developed a crush on someone in the mid-2010s. She was really pretty. She was the type you wanted to get together with, instead of using her as a cum dumpster. The reason why I couldn't message her online or go up to her was my acne. In the 2010s, smartphones let good-looking people shine. I wasn't a good-looking person because of my acne. The only social setting we could ever see each other in were powwows. We lived in separate reservations from each other. Every summer I'd go to a powwow hoping to see her, but I never had the guts to go up to her. My pimples did not look good on my brown skin, and I didn't play sports either. Soon after, everyone I know knew I had a crush on her, including a cousin of mine. I had no way of hanging out with my crush unless I messaged her. My cousin knew I had a crush on her and supported me. My cousin was a volleyball player. I wasn't sure if my crush was always an athlete, but she played volleyball too. My cousin got to know my crush through volleyball. He had an idea where he would walk my crush up to me while I had my guitar in hand, but I thought that was cringe, so I didn't do it. My cousin continued to talk to my crush soon after. In 2017, I was at home alone when I seen a post of my crush and my cousin together online. It turned out they were in a relationship. I felt betrayed, even though I never talked to her once, which is what he said when I confronted him. It's the fact that he knew I liked her that made me feel betrayed. We argued and he then told me that the sex wasn't good enough. The relationship only lasted a few weeks. My cousin left my crush so he can pursue things he wanted to do with no one bothering him. I finally messaged her after they had sex to tell her that I liked her. She said that my cousin told her that. I didn't talk to my cousin for a few years after that, but we spoke again after I got over it. I was over it for a while, but it started to haunt me again. Now I'm not over it again, but I keep it to myself. It's like my cousin wanted a piece of me or something, hence why I'm so resentful over the whole thing. It happened years ago and it still haunts me. Do I still want my crush today? No, I don't. She always seemed low-key crazy to me and she had a big forehead. What bothers me about the situation is that I'm stuck with the memory of myself being ugly or unattractive. There's no memory of a girl being there. I fucking regret it. As of recording this, I haven't worked in 4 years. I quit my job in construction back in 2022. The sweet feeling of unemployment keeps me from finding a job. However, I think about my future and the instability I possess. My last job was repetitive, but it was easy. I regret quitting that job. Now people are envious of my free time. I'm 27 years old and I still ask my grandparents for money. I live in my mom's basement hoping my career as an artist takes off, while being broke and having little to no gear or equipment. I see other people live their lives and achieve goals, while I stay at home and watch live streams all night. When I quit my job, I became homeless shortly after, due to the lack of rent money. I lost a bunch of stuff during this time because I didn't want to go back to staying with my city family. I was living in one of the most expensive provinces in the country. My city family begged me to pay attention to the deals at the supermarket. That attitude kept me from finding deals and saving my money. I would buy McDonald's and pizza nearly every night. I grew up as a spoiled kid, so it makes sense that I would end up as a NEET living with my mom. I collect checks from the government which funds my misadventures as a NEET. NEET stands for not in employment, education, or training. As a NEET, I try to make my days count by listening to music all day long. I try to go on NoFap to obtain some sort of liberty for my body. Being a NEET is exhausting. I do chores around the house on a daily basis to keep myself productive, but the guilt of being unemployed for a long time remains. My therapist constantly asks me to sign up for a program where I shovel snow and other miscellaneous stuff for a minimum wage, but I'm too lazy, plus I hate the idea of working in the cold. This is my third time writing this track because I feel like I was virtue signaling about being an aspiring artist for the past 9 years, without getting anywhere. As a NEET, I feel free from social expectations, and I don't have any friends, which makes it lonely for me. The least I can say is that I'm not a bootlicker normie that demands social acceptance online. I hate normies so much it's unreal. I don't think about being behind on society one bit. I consider myself a Sigma male at this point. I'm also a virgin. I think I have 1 year left of being in NEET before I find a job, because I don't want to be homeless when my mom dies. I know that implies that I'll still be living with her then. Maybe I'll live on my own again someday, who knows. Hell of a long time ago, we were chilling like that, nothing but us and the weed. there wasn't a problem. If there wasn't a problem, it was then. 2016 never gets old, but we get old as time goes on. So many things to remember. The times we weren't at school, the clouds weren't blocking the sun. There was a good vibe in the sky. The memes were fresh. Everyone was still getting along. It was not like 2024 where everything was white. Rich kids only get a chance as the others only get 6 views. I was happy back then in 2016 when I wasn't an adult. When I didn't feel bad for no reason, jamming an ice cube, driving down the hill, eating original potato chips. It was a time to be alive, more than the years we're in now. The 2020s try so hard to be the 2010s. We weren't too dumb for iPhones. Now we're too dumb for AI, too dumb to read. The memes are soulless now, everything is soulless. But back in 2016, back when you weren't allowed to smoke weed, there were asses on Instagram that were sexier than asses in the 2020s. Women get it right on purpose, but they don't get it right on purpose when it comes to ass. Women didn't hide their sexiness in 2016. Content creators weren't making their content too gay. In 2016, times were simpler for the human brain. I remember 2016 like it was just yesterday. Something like it never happened before. Like an adventurous soul cruising through our timelines. Times like these are never let go. My generation hasn't let go of 2016, the golden child of the 2010s. I wouldn't go back to that time though. As I get older, I live other lives. I was 17 and I was still exploring. They say your life is ahead of you. That's true. I do not look back with goggles on. I really had a good year, a better year than 2024. 2017 is a shit year too. I was just about to write how my cat Big Kitty passed away in 2016. The loss of a pet is astounding. I still call other cats Kitty. Rest in peace, Big Kitty. And rest in peace, Brian Wilson. They try to say 2016 is a white year. It was the last year before everything became white. Now everything is social engineering in the 2020s. Conspiracy theories galore. I feel homeless right now, even though I'm not. I still feel homeless sometimes, the trauma and guilt of having pets as well. I feel the shame of seeing cats and dogs get used to the house. Seeing them struggle in small ways does triumphant damage to my feelings. I feel this emptiness inside a house, and it's like I don't know where I am. I get scared and cold. I always feel cold when I don't even own a sweater. We're living in the most predictable societal collapse, and I'm sitting at home jobless. It takes a lot of energy to come up with tips and tricks. Kids at school seeing the world for what it is. It's all set up for people to come up with shit about society. Meanwhile, all the generation are content creators instead of artists. It's like people make slop so their fans' feelings aren't hurt from the quality. Social media is a big fat cat that can't stop asking for food. In 2024, I was fighting a wave of tiredness from nowhere. I was literally tired for no reason. After a whole year of going to bed for 12 hours, it went away. In mid-2025, I am now getting normal rest, but I wake up tired all the time. I think about the afterlife and other people. Would they redo what they want to accomplish again or sleep? Does the afterlife drive what they do on social media? Do these content creators create what they want when they're in the afterlife, or are they spewing fake news that's part of fake social engineering? You tell me. I'm just here making beats. When I was a teenager, I wanted to be like Paul McCartney, a cute-looking boy with good looks. I could have had that, but when I was 13, that's when I started getting acne. I felt that I was meant to relate to others with acne as an artist, so I didn't do shit but have zits. I ate candy and drank pop as an act of rebellion, so I can make good art that relates to people. I thought that's how it worked. Poor me became more shy as time went on. The acne kept me from talking to people at the powwow. I was the weird kid, meant to make a change in what was acceptable. Fast forward to 2018, I was still dealing with zits, but I didn't give a shit. I finished high school with mediocre grades. I remember seeing a poster from one of the students telling me to eat fruits and vegetables for clear skin. I started spending all my money on healthy foods, and I started to piss more because of the consumption. In the beginning of 2018, I drank 155 liters of water in 1 month. I was healthy as fuck, but I pissed so much water. In 2019, I started to piss every half hour. The physical pain of needing to piss all the time plagued me. This need to piss came from never checking how much I consumed fruit and vegetables and water. All throughout 2019, I needed to piss everywhere I went. At the powwow, at Walmart, everywhere. I pissed and I didn't give a shit. I spent the year jobless, dealing with the awful bladder. The next year, my family sent me to the city. I had to tell my city family about my awful bladder because I couldn't hide it. They told me to tell my therapist it's embarrassing. I was working construction with an awful bladder. I started to hold it in and only piss at lunch breaks. It worked, and soon I had a normal bladder again. In 2022, I quit my job because I was lazy. I went homeless like I said on the other track, and I went home. While at home, I would piss more frequently again, as I had nothing else to do. It wouldn't be as bad as it was before. Flash forward 2 years, I moved into another city. There's a bathroom in the basement where I stayed. Throughout 2024, I would piss more and more frequently. In retrospect, I didn't give a fuck about my bladder throughout the whole experience. It taught me how I felt about others' opinion of me. Humiliation is a sign God loves you. Been making art since I was a kid. Started drawing when it was fun. I drew every day. Comic books were made. It featured my friends and all that. My favorite hobby at the time, next to video games. When I discovered machinima, that's when things changed. One machinima director had Daft Punk in their video. I searched them up and I couldn't stop listening to Daft Punk. I wanted to make music later in life. I went on to make more projects. The only problem I had was that I had no followers. I couldn't Google how to find followers to save my life. I have good projects under my belt, but to this day no one knows who Trel Dee is, because I never had a network. I almost went to music school when I was younger. That could have gotten me followers, but I never went. As the years go on, I see other indigenous artists get followers and not me. I grew up making art. I should have followers like these guys, but I don't. Content creators also are kicking the balls. They grew up with no artistic inch in their body. Next thing you know, they influence people by being normal. They attract followers by not making stuff up like how I do. It's been more than 10 years and I can't even have 100 followers on Twitter still. It's like a brand new reason to kill myself or something too. Not having enough followers. I don't want to kill myself though. Everyone online is younger than me too. I can't just follow these people as I'm getting older. Maybe getting followers is a young man's game. I wouldn't know. The capacity to make content like a content creator isn't there. There's an indigenous artist with 1,000 followers living in the city I was homeless in. Why couldn't I network with him? I didn't do anything to gain followers except make more art. The experience had me resenting fame. If I was famous, I would hate having to know that shutting the fuck up would be better for me. In reality, I don't need followers, but I feel bad for people who missed out on my music. That's how cocky I am with my music. The year was 2022. I started hearing voices and seeing things after smoking some pot they sold in the downtown east side. I would go to work thinking a voice in my head was stealing my information. These voices would soon become characters I would interact with. I didn't tell a doctor because niggas don't go to the doctor. While this was happening, I've grown out of love of the job I had. I texted my mom to come get me and take me back to the res, but she told me to start collecting welfare. My city family wasn't fucking with me at the time neither because I didn't do jiu-jitsu. My city family was a jiu-jitsu family for a couple of years now, and I only did it so I could get help securing a place of my own in the city. After I moved into my place, I stopped doing jiu-jitsu. Anyways, these voices I was hearing fronted as real people communicating with me telepathically. Musicians and artists I enjoyed were in my head talking to me. It was fun letting these voices say what they had to say. The year was 2023. I was stuck on the res with these voices in my head. I interacted with these voices for months on end without telling anyone. They created a dream world for me to get lost in. It had a storyline and characters I either enjoyed or hated. I always got my way in the end, and the voices always catered to my need of excitement out of life. I was supposed to go to LA and be with everyone who was communicating with me telepathically, but it was never real to begin with. The storyline went on for more months, and I loved every moment of it. There were moments of genuine genius that I thought I didn't come up with but was in my head. The year was 2024. The voices stopped talking to me altogether. There was no more storyline or characters or material. What was left behind were memories of how amazing the dream world was. Deep down, I wish the voices came back and resumed what we were doing. But it's more healthier for me to accept that they're gone. I finally seen a doctor who diagnosed me with schizophrenia after 2 years of hearing voices. I had such a good time with these voices I didn't even care about the diagnosis. The storyline in my head was that I was supposed to create 3 massacres throughout my life. One in 2025, one in 2049, and the last one in 2093. Millions of people would commit suicide throughout the years so the earth could heal. What the voices told me is that if the world wanted to heal, millions of people would have to die so nature could take over again. Back in with my mom in 2024. Before that happened, my mom fucked up a few times. Sometimes I'm still mad at her, but I don't say anything because I'm living with her. I could type down the things she did to piss me off, but you get my point. Living with my mom has me not wanting to fuck up, or else I'd have to talk to the doctor, the cops, anything I wouldn't want in this situation. She's passive-aggressive somewhat. I wake up at night thinking about her fuck-ups and I'm pissed off. I feel like she'll use my diagnosis against me in an argument or resent me for not wanting a real job. This is a song about how much I secretly hate my mom, but most of the time I love her and help her out. When I was a little small kid, she kept me at home 1 more year before going to daycare. Years later, she tried getting me an autism diagnosis. Actions like these seemed unnecessary to me as an adult. It's like she was trying to tell me I ain't shit through actions regarding my mind. Like she couldn't let me be a kid who didn't like sports. I don't know how much of a big deal it was to not play sports on the Rez, but I didn't like sports. This one time in grade school, I used to hang out with a girl. When I told my mom about her, she told me to not be weird. It's memories like these that make me upset. I don't hate women, but sometimes moms are passive-aggressive. My mom would later meet a man and marry him for 7 years. When they split, she copied mannerisms from him and acted like she was always gruff to begin with, but she wasn't, I remember. Typing these lines down make me feel sorry for my mom, but it's either a song about her or I cave in and freak out in front of her, which can happen because I'm collecting checks from the government. All I have to do to survive at home is shut the fuck up and do my chores. I know my lifestyle has loser vibes, but I'm indigenous and society is collapsing, so I might as well watch the show as it goes down in real time. When I was a little boy, I came across a gaming clan called FAG, which stood for Federation of Asshole Gamers. They trolled people online before trolling became popular. This clan had a massive impact on how I seen online gaming. I played online to have fun and never try hard because I wasn't a tryhard. MLG and esports were cringe to me. I'd rather troll sweaty players online than try hard myself. I related to this philosophy as someone who didn't play sports. I am indigenous, and growing up you had to be an indigenous athlete to make it anywhere in society, to have followers, to have a girlfriend, and to have social acceptance from older peers and authority. People judged me for being a geek. My mom thought I had autism because I'd rather stay inside on the Rez where there was nothing to do. My art is Rez, and I want my art to be synonymous with the Rez. But every native, including me, has something to say about the Rez, whether it be natives in a city, small town, or on the Rez. From my experiences, the Rez is full of people who are simple and demand conformity from younger natives. If you didn't play sports, you were held as an object of ridicule. People exclude you if you don't do drugs as well. I remember smoking weed just so I had someone to hang out with. What my people need is a show like The Boondocks, but for Indigenous people, not a movie about Indigenous sports. I would go far as to say there's a colonial vibe to sports in Indigenous communities, but in reality, no one gives a shit like that and want their reserves to be comparable to other communities. They say it takes a community to raise a child, but on the res there is an unfair preferential treatment to younger people who play sports or do drugs with others in the community. I remember a kid who couldn't handle me playing online games for fun. He was a tryhard who liked MLG. He went to my school for 1 year and tried to steal my life when he was there. But I got away with making fun of him for being cross-eyed. One eye was pointing in one direction and the next eye the other. He claimed that reserves were similar to concentration camps. While I see where he was coming from, he couldn't see his own conformity when it came to MLG and esports. For me, it's the athletes and drug users who gatekeep community that make this res similar to concentration camps. The only thing I don't like about sports is that it turns people into conformists online early on and don't see eye to eye with gamers or artists. Indigenous athletes are not bad people, but there are people and entire families who exclude others for not enjoying sports. There was another kid from my middle school days who thought I was a loser because I sat in the back of the class. It's simple quote-unquote symbolism like that people attach to other people. That's the kind of simple thinking that had me fucked up as a kid. In the beginning of 2018, I had just left my gas jockey gig because people were telling me the wrong amount of gas. They would tell the cashier they said $20 less. The money would come out of my paycheck. I felt like I was targeted by the community as a gas jockey. I was 19 years old and just started to become a dumb adult after being a smart teenager. I didn't know how to express myself about the situation I was in, which was being stuck on the res as an outcast. Kids my age moved on from me immediately and the older folk chastised me with ignorance. In April 2018, I decided to create a character and perform performance art as that character. I was dressed in a black house coat, pajamas, and a buzz cut. I was called the Rez Villain. The shtick was that I was a mix of three things: a reverend, a monk, and who I actually was, a dude in a house coat. I thought I was original. I imagined people thinking I was dressed as either three. I wanted them to make the reverend connection the most because I felt they were seeing me as an outcast who wasn't as native as them. When I look back, I realized I was just paranoid and nobody gave a fuck. But events that went down at the store had me thinking I was in a low point in some kind of social hierarchy. I was 19 at the time and was still full of angst from my teenage years. I made vlogs of me in my Rez Villain outfit and posted them on Facebook to confuse people. I didn't want to be seen as a genius. I legit wanted to troll my community by acting crazy. I drove to different towns dressed up trying to perform MF Doom songs at karaoke night. I couldn't find any open mic night in my area. The peak of this nonsense was when I walked up a valley with a guitar in hand. When I walked down and went home, the cops pulled up and picked me up. To this day, I still don't know who called the cops on me. They took me to the psych ward in the city. I had spent 2 weeks in there. When I finally got out, I created a new character who wore an Adidas sweater and a do-rag. This time I was a normie who was a terrorist. I would switch back and forth as the Rez Villain in this new character. At the end of 2018, I've let this go and went on with my life. I think I did. I can't remember how it ended. I don't dress up as the character anymore, but I still prefer to be called the Rez Villain at times. As someone who didn't play sports on the res, I played video games and made art instead. I blame cartoons for my fetish for women in glasses. They show reflections of people and things in their lenses and it turned me on. It was supposed to create suspense or something. I never understood why it turned me on, but it was so hot to see women in glasses and see what the reflection was. In the 2000s, TV shows often had fetishes in them, and people went on to create animated porn years later. Back then, there were no demographic for things being reflected in women's glasses. In the 2010s, I saw guys in big glasses instead of women. It made me wonder if the world was trying to turn it into a gay thing for gay people. I wasn't gay. I wanted to see women glasses reflections online, but it never happened. I had to wait until the 2020s for women to post selfies of them wearing glasses. The green anti-reflection tint in women's glasses is so sexy to me. Asses were one thing, but the idea of women wanting you to see your reflection in their glasses made me come ropes. I had this fetish all my life, and as time goes on, the more common it becomes online. Women are either aloof or they're making their glasses shiny on purpose to appear hot. It's borderline taboo. You never see people talk about it. I remember Googling eyeglasses reflections in the 2010s and only getting pop art of women wearing sunglasses. It's not the same when it's sunglasses. When it's eyeglasses, it's kinky and it could mean whatever your heart desire. It makes me horny every day because it can represent dominance and women being feminine in a kinky way. It's never the same when it's a gay twink dude doing it. It has to be women for the fetish to flourish. I always imagine the idea of some dude creating creepy art revealing his eyeglasses reflection fetish. This is that art piece. It had to be Trel Dee. The reality is glasses aren't designed to reflect someone's face perfectly, but women can always reflect landscapes, cities, streets, concerts, etc. with their glasses. I can't believe I'm making a song about this. I feel like people won't know what I mean about this fetish. It's women wearing big glasses and looking in their reflection in them. If you want an example, watch Totally Spies Season 2, Episode 15. Nowadays, I'm constantly on the lookout for posts of women wearing glasses. And if their glasses are shiny or reflecting something, it makes me want to cum ropes. I either wanted a relationship where the women made me want to come all the time, or a wholesome one where I love my partner and I don't need expectations from her sexually. I never had any of those and I'm stuck scrolling Instagram for fetish content and asses. The downfall of this fetish is that it's usually executed in kids' films and TV shows, and glasses are an everyday item, so I'm literally brainwashed into thinking about the fetish when I see someone in glasses. It makes me feel uncomfortable and inconvenienced everywhere I go. It's a fetish that has affected my everyday life for years. I either want to gatekeep it or simply not recommend it to anyone. It's a monkey on my back that I can't get rid of because I love it so much. I've been releasing music since 2017. My first EP was with a band called Rez Bros. To me, that's where Rez Music started. Rez Music is a form of lo-fi I came up with. Rez culture has always expressed itself as half-assed, lazy, and simple. I wanted my music to be Rez since I was 16 years old. I grew up on the Rez and remember thinking Rez music could be a form of expression. I've had the word Rez in my head for the past 11 years. I'm obsessed with making my music Rez. I've made a free improvisation keyboard album using one hand, an 11-minute EP with 10 songs, an album full of music samples. I also recorded hours of what I call anti-music, where I strum a guitar over sampled loops. I did all of this with Rez being an artistic approach. I see a lot of other indigenous artists sing and talk about getting off the Rez, but their music doesn't reflect living on the Rez the way mine does. While everyone's trying to be the most indigenous artist, I'm trying to be the most Rez artist. I would argue that the most Rez'd out music is Rumpus Room and the beats I made in my anti-music era. I feel like I'm the only artist doing Rez music, my own little music scene and world. If the Rez starts pumping out art dedicated to expressing itself Rez style, I would be considered a pioneer. Pioneers are often forgotten, however. I guess that's the card I deal as an artist. I know I live in the city and you probably think I'm a poser for not actually living on the Rez while saying I make Rez art, but I made some Rez'd out music at that time. I may have no fan base after 9 years of making music, but at least I can say I contributed to something original for the time. Nowadays on social media, people show off that they're better than others. When people preach, it's to show that they're better than you. When people show their awards, it's to show that they're better than you. If I ever make it anywhere in this godforsaken business, I wouldn't share anything, because social media is for showing others that you're better than them. I would post updates for my art and that's it. I use social media to find softcore porn. As an indigenous artist with no followers, I see my people try one-up one another in various ways. Success, working out, the book they're working on, it's just to show off anything they got. It makes them look insecure. Most people don't realize they're showing off. It's just they have to exist like this for a new version of being happy. They do it for their dopamine. I personally think social media is fun. When you want to seek knowledge, more music, when you use it as a tool for your own interests. But some people's interests include reminding others that they're talented when they lack depth. Then people say I'm jealous because I don't have followers. Those people are followers in the most painful ways. People who remove you when you have a dispute with their friend on Facebook. People who don't think for themselves or try to be their original self. Performative people. There are some people who are successful on social media that I truly despise, because the talent is too thin to justify the success. I live in this pain every day. This is what I hate about social media. I hate how social media provides new reasons for suicide. I like being happy. I like being unknown because everything is still fun for me. I'll be independent until the day I die. If I had to decide what I wanted, I would want a small underground fan base. Wouldn't it be nice? Especially after years of posting my art online and getting 50 views. I wouldn't show off on my social media. I understand what it's like seeing people do that, and it sucks. That's it for me. Thank you for listening to my spoken word poetry album. If you've gotten this far, why not listen to the instrumental versions too? I didn't like making this album, but I made it because I wanted it to exist. I made this on a laptop that is slow, shitty laptop with a broken charger input. It only charges when the laptop is off, so I use my time wisely. I make music purely for myself. I listen to my own music. After this album, I will work on original beat tapes, so stay tuned. Peace.